Hi, friends. You are in for a treat today. My husband Jason is joining us for an Autism Classroom Q&A episode. We are going to try to do this on the first Tuesday of each month so we can answer your burning questions. There's a link in the show notes where you can submit your questions for future Tuesday talks with Tara and Jason. See you inside the show. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Tara and Jason. Let me introduce you to my husband, Jason Phillips. Jason, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Again, my name's Jason. I used to live about 30 miles northeast of Cleveland in Ohio. I moved to Wisconsin in 1989. In what I call my previous life, I worked as a mechanic until I had a back injury. Over that period of time, I was also a musician playing in bands for almost 30 years, up to now still. And I transitioned in the early 2000s over into railroad signal engineering. The real quick gist of that is I build systems that help trains go safely down the track with signaling systems, communication systems. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. It's a great job. Or do that again. I don't know. Hey everybody, my name's Jason. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, about 30 miles northeast from there. I moved to Wisconsin in 1989. Originally, I started out my career in life as a mechanic and then later transitioned into railroad signal engineering. Basically, signal communication systems to keep the trains traveling safely is what I do for a living. Also, I've been a musician for almost my entire life as an adult, playing in different bands, all different styles of music, something that I really enjoy. About almost 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, I met Tara. We started dating, and here we are now, 7.5 years later, married and doing a podcast together.
Wow, how things change.
Dreams have come true.
Now, you guys, Jason does not have a background in education, and he really didn't know a lot about autism or special education until he met me 7 years ago. I have loved watching him learn and develop amazing connections with some of my former students. And I will say I am so proud because Jason now knows some special education acronyms.
Some.
In fact, I'm going to put him on the spot right now, you guys, with a pop quiz.
Oh boy.
We can grade him on these 5 questions after the quiz, all right? So, are you ready, Jason?
I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be.
All right. First one, your wife is an SLP. What does SLP stand for?
Special lady person. No, speech language pathologist. I got that one.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. All right. And you always hear me talk about IEPs and writing IEPs. Do you know what IEP stands for?
Individual something program. Individual educational program.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I think he deserves that one as marked correct, don't you? Individualized education program. So perfect. And at school, I work with students who have the educational label of ASD. What does ASD stand for?
Okay. I a special deer? I don't know.
Okay, so the reason he doesn't know this probably is because a lot of people are using language that autistic individuals prefer, which is using the word autistic instead of autism spectrum disorder.
Okay.
So,
Right.
yeah, you learned something new, but different states have different educational criteria. And in Minnesota, ASD is what you have to check to get services for kids who are autistic. And so on our IEPs, We put in the label, we check the label of autism spectrum disorder.
All right.
Make sense?
I learned something new today.
All right, you guys, he's 2 out of 3. Next one, what does SPED stand for?
Ooh. All right. My brain is leaning towards speech path, educational. I don't know.
Okay,
I need to
Jason,
listen better.
this was a trick question
All right.
because it kind of isn't an acronym. It's more of like a shortcut. It stands for special education.
Oh,
So,
you know what? You've used that around me a lot. I should know that. I should know that by now.
well, and a lot of times we'll talk about special education teachers as SPED teachers.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Number 5, last one. You've heard me talk about this, and it's usually when I have a student that has some challenging behavior. What is an FBA?
Oh, I don't even know. I have no idea.
Okay. Some of you out there might not know this either, but it's a functional behavior assessment.
Okay, so this is like you go and work with the child and
Figure out why they're experiencing the behavior
okay.
that's kind of getting in the way of their education.
All right.
So, a lot to do with data. So, since you're an engineer, you probably like data and numbers.
Too much.
So, we track students' behavior over a period of time and we see kind of where they're at. Like, okay, over these 10 days, they hit 47 times. Okay, then we have to make a hypothesis about why do we think they're doing it and then come up with interventions. So, the FBA can be really, really helpful.
You know, when I'm out with my friends, they always say, "How's things going with Tara?" And I'm like, "I've learned so many 3-letter things that stand for something else that I can't remember. I don't even know. It's just so much fun."
That's awesome. You guys, we do have tons of acronyms in special ed, don't we? Yeah, I know you're shaking your head, yes. Okay, so let's talk about how these Tuesday talks, we're going to call it that, Tuesday talks with Tara and Jason are going to work. You submit a question, and Jason's going to choose from those questions and read them to me. And then on the spot, I'm going to explain what those questions maybe mean to him and answer the questions. And he can ask me clarifying questions like you guys might. And since he's mostly just learning about the topic, I think it'll be really helpful to everybody. So, Jason, it's time to read the questions from the Autism Little Learners community. And I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. First one here is, what is the best way to approach coworkers about introducing visual supports?
Well, this first one is kind of a tough one, but I think with anything, instead of going in and saying, you know what, their IEP says use visual supports, and that's a legal document, and it's the law, so you have to, that might not be the best approach because it's a little abrasive. But if you guys had a nice discussion about what areas or what times during the day that the child might need a little support, and the coworker kind of comes up with that, then you can say, hey, what do you think about? And you can give your idea for visual support. And it kind of brings it into more of a team approach rather than you just going in, adding something to someone's plate and telling them what to do.
All right. Next question we have is, how do you consistently use visual cue cards? I can never find the right one fast enough.
Amen, right? This is a story of our life. And so that's why less is more can help especially when you're implementing visuals and you want staff and yourself to use them consistently. So if you have too many things flying around, you're never going to be able to find it fast enough. And in the last 2 episodes of the podcast, I've talked about specific visual supports that I like to use to create predictable systems in my classroom. And so if you can use these visual supports, all right, so I feel you when you are asking about using visual cue cards and visual supports consistently. It is really hard when you can't find the right one fast enough. And so this is where I say less is more. You're going to want to have a couple really good systems that you can use with your entire class and then individualize here and there when needed. So, if you listen to the last two podcast episodes, I talked about my favorite visual supports to get things going in the classroom and to get that consistency. And so go back to those episodes, episode 1 and 2, and take a listen, because if you can have things organized and you use the same things like the star chart, the all done bucket, visual schedules, then everyone's going to get in the routine of using them. And so that helps you use them more consistently. And again, less is more. If we have too many, it's just going to be impossible to find the right ones fast enough. You also want to think about strategic placement around the classroom, because like if you're going to use a weight mat at a work table, make sure you have one at every work table so you're not having to get up and leave, because if you get up, you lose your student. They're out of there. So make sure you have them at every area. If you use all done buckets, have several of them across the classroom, and that is going to help you find them faster.
Awesome. All right, next question on the list. Should I use a visual schedule for each individual student or a group visual schedule for my entire class?
That is an excellent question. I get that one a lot, and ideally having an individual visual schedule for each student is best, because every student might have different things that they do throughout the day, different types of sensory breaks that they take, or just different play activities that they like. So having individual schedules, but keep it simple, right? So when you're just starting out, it's okay to just have one picture on the schedule at a time. And then use more of a group schedule when you're at group time and it's something you can show to everybody at once, because we're all sitting there doing the exact same thing. You could use that in gym class to show the sequence of activities in gym class. And so just think bigger picture, something the whole group is doing together versus the individual activities that students do during the day.
All right. So the next question is going to be actually two parts. The first part is what one of your Tara's people have asked. The next one is from me, okay? So the question that they asked is, what is the best way to fade visuals? My question is, what does it mean to fade visuals?
Okay, so I've heard a lot of debate about this out in the autism community and special education community, because autistic folks are not the only ones that use visual schedules. Any child with a special education need can use visuals. And I feel like a lot of times people talk right away about, well, when are we going to fade these out? So fade them out means get rid of them.
Oh, okay. All right.
So the thing you really, really want to think about is how much we all rely on visuals throughout the day. So I tell people, you can fade their visuals out when you're ready to get rid of your to-do list, your Google Calendar, your grocery list, the list you make when you're going to go on a trip. Like Jason, you go on a fishing trip, you've got a list going of things you don't want to.
I don't make a list.
Oh no.
This is what bothers you about me.
It's so true. But I have seen you make a couple lists.
They're very short.
But what do? They help you remember
Yes.
what you're going to do or what you need to have, right? Similar is a visual schedule or visual support. They're there to support people in remembering what they're going to do. So we don't want to get rid of them. Let's say a child's using a visual schedule, they're doing really great with it, and it seems like, hey, they kind of know what they're doing. You don't just get rid of and upend the visual schedule. You start thinking ahead. Okay, if this student can read, we're going to start to do a written schedule of some type, because that's going to help in the future translate into using a date book, using a to-do list, using a Google Calendar, right? So we're just kind of taking those steps into having it look like something adults use.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, but do I have to make lists now?
You probably should.
I probably should. Okay, next question on the list. How do you recommend storing visuals for easy access and organizing? I am not good at organizing.
He is not, you guys. He knows where everything is usually, but it's like those chaotic, messy kind of organized people.
I will say, with the workshop for my leatherworking business, that I'm actually cleaning up after myself. I'm putting things away after every job and keeping things organized. I will work on efforts in the house.
I was going to say, can you do that inside the house, please?
I will do my best. But
the kitchen?
I'm pretty wore out by the time I come inside from doing leather work all day.
Okay. Next question.
While we're still on the storing visuals.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you.
You should have made a list.
I know, the list's right in front of me, but my mind got distracted. Okay, so storing visuals. The cool thing is that inside my visual schedules made easy online course, I have a whole section about how to store your visuals. And on the podcast, I can't show you, but my favorite thing is a drawer system for hardware. Is that what it's called, Jason?
Yeah, like in storage, there were organizational drawers, and they have anywhere from 20 to 40 different little small drawers that are about 2 inches wide to 3-4 inches deep.
Yeah, and you've seen mine here at home.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great idea. I think I complimented you at least 3 times on that when I saw it the first time. I thought that was pretty neat. It's
awesome.
Like, hey, I got a collection of screws for the last 20 years I've been saving in one of those.
Well, and now full of visual supports. And so if you guys hear this and you DM me, I can send you a picture of what I'm talking about. I also have examples of it in my Instagram Reels. If you want to check that out, you can see a little video. But basically, it's like you said, all these little 2-inch drawers. And on the front, I put a picture of the visual that I'm going to store in there, like bathroom, right? And then I have all the extras laminated and Velcroed. I have a little picture of it on the front so I can easily see what's in there. And then if myself or one of my paras are like, oh my gosh, bathroom pictures missing off of their communication book, they can just go over. My paras know exactly where to find it, and you can grab it in 2 seconds instead of having to recreate another one. It's ready to go. So that has been the best organizational tool.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's pretty neat.
And the other thing, when we don't have the little pictures, when we have, let's say, bigger visuals, having just a couple of containers or bins around the classroom in key areas that you could just put those in, that you can grab and go easy if you need them.
Similar to your craft drawer units that have multiple 2-3 inch deep, and they're 12 inch deep or 12 inch long drawers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And one of those I actually have at school.
There's lots of this stuff around the house.
I know. Sometimes my visuals that I make and show to you guys are spread all over the house.
All right, next question on here. Do you have a procedure typed out for using visual schedules, like where to start and when to add?
Yeah, so I do have a procedure typed out within that Visual Schedules Made Easy course. And if you want information about that, just send me a DM and I can get you the link to the wait list and a description of the course. But that has been a big thing for me, is to really have things laid out step by step so that you can have your paras and everyone else get on board.
All right. And our last question for today, can you apply all the visual strategies at home?
Yes, yes, yes. So that has been the amazing byproduct of starting Autism Little Learners. I thought I was just going to create materials for teachers and educators, but so many parents have joined our community and they are wanting information about what they can use at home. So I've had parents implement visual schedules super successfully at home, and all of those visuals in the visual support starter set, the all done bucket, the weight mat, the star chart, all of that. So it can be really, really helpful at home for structuring a little bit and transitions and helping with behavior.
Very, very cool. All right. Now, one thing we talked about adding into this podcast was a random fact.
Oh, yeah. Jason's going to do once a month when we do this, a random fact of the day.
Now, I've decided I'm adding something else to this mix too.
Oh no.
And I didn't tell you to now just because.
Is
So
it because I gave you a pop quiz?
it's because you gave me a pop podcast.
back?
All right. So, random fact of the day. The ancient Romans used to drop a piece of toast into their wine for good health, hence why we raise a toast.
No way.
Yes. But you notice they said a piece of toast,
Oh.
not a toast.
I know where he's going with this, you guys.
Inside joke, guys. All right. The other fun thing I thought it would be, I think it's gotten a little crazy, but every day is a national day. So I decided, let's add what national day it is on every day we do this podcast. What do you think?
Perfect. I love it.
All right. So as we're recording this, today is January 30th, 2023. Today is National Croissant Day.
Nice.
So we need to make some croissants today.
So by the time you're hearing this, it's not National Croissant Day anymore. However, you can go get yourself a croissant and celebrate anyway. I'll give you permission.
There you go.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the Tuesday Talks with Tara and Jason. And these Q&A episodes will air on the first Tuesday of each month. And I love brainstorming with you and helping you come up with ideas. So be sure to submit your question by sending me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. And you can also submit using the link that's here in the show notes. Never ever forget, even for a moment, how truly amazing you are. See you next week for a brand new episode.